Hey guys, John here. Welcome back. If you know me, you know that I enjoy nature and I also enjoy painting, obviously. So I'm going to combine the two a little bit today. And I know when I was a kid, I was always looking up how to paint, how to draw certain things. And one of the things that I constantly wanted to learn how to paint was flowers. And so I thought I'm now at a spot where if young me were searching, I can make the video that young me would want to find. And so that's what we're gonna do today. I'm thinking maybe 8 or so different flowers that I'm going to paint. And they're all gonna be fairly simple with watercolor and pen. And I want to just provide little kid me in the past with the perfect video for him to watch to learn how to make a couple simple flowers. And so they're not going to be crazy difficult or anything really intricate. They're going to be all fairly standard flowers that are easy to make, that give you not even so much how to make exactly this one type of flower, but they're going to give you good techniques to make all kinds of flowers. And hopefully that is going to come across in this video. So we're just gonna jump right into it. I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, welcome in. So first flower we're gonna do, I've got it up here above me on the screen to just talk along with you, but the first flower is a marigold. You could apply this as well to a carnation or a hibiscus if it's one of the double ones where it's got all the petals everywhere. Basically, this is a very densely petaled flower. I chose marigold because I like the color. And so for this guy, I put down flat yellow or whatever color the flower happens to be. And then I get closer to a darker version of it. And for yellow, dark yellow is usually closer to red and orange. And so you can see me putting in here slightly darker and darker spots just to indicate that there's some kind of texture there. Now, when I come through outlining here, I'll start with the leaves. And when I'm doing this inside my marigold, you see I kind of went in a spiral. And basically that's just to kind of keep everything seem like it's facing outward, which is the main goal here. Flower number 2, we're going with an Allium. And these guys are really neat. They're similar to marigolds in basic shape. However, instead of being made of a bunch of petals, they're made of tiny little star-shaped flowers. And so the first step is going to be pretty similar, getting a nice shape down, and we're going to add some shadows. Now for my light purple, the closer to shadow I get, the closer to blue I'm going to get. And then we're going to throw a stem down in here. These guys have pretty thick stems. You can see me adding some texture here. That's kind of what I'm hoping to do, is let it get some texture, and then once it dries, I can come in and add the details with my pens. Here I go with the basic outline to begin, and then I'm going to do something similar to my marigold where I'm adding some random shapes of texture in the middle there. And now where the details come, I'm adding some star shapes in my white pen as little highlights to those little star-shaped flowers. For our third flower, I'm going with the Calla Lily, and I wanted to do a couple white flowers on here to show you how to make them easily. And you can see when I'm starting, I'm using a very light blue gray kind of color. The best way in watercolor to make something look white is to actually make everything else around it dark. And you see me coming in now with a darker blue. That's going to push this light gray forward and make it seem even lighter. So this Calla Lily is a pretty simple shape. I just found a nice reference photo and I'm trying to copy it to the best of my ability. It's almost like if you were to roll up a burrito up on itself is kind of the shape that this guy goes in. And I'm just getting my outlines darker and darker. And then I can come in here with my pen and add some of my details. Flower number 4, I'm doing a tulip. And tulips are fun because they're a simple shape, but there's a lot of work you can do with them because their petals are translucent like most flower petals. And since they overlap in the way that they do, you can really play with that. And watercolor lends itself really nicely to that, because if you put a layer down, let it dry, and paint over it again, it's going to give the same effect that the flowers will, because that's exactly what the flowers are doing. For flower number 5 here, we're going to do a pansy. This is where we're starting to get into a little more intricate petal structure. And so these guys have 3 main petals, as you can see me putting in the second 2 here. And then their final 2 petals actually are behind the first 3. I think pansies are really cool because they're one of the few flowers, I'm not going to say few, but they're one of the more common flowers that is heavily asymmetrical. Most flowers have some kind of radial symmetry, meaning that if you were to spin it, it looks pretty the same everywhere. And these guys have some pretty interesting asymmetry. And so for this one, I'm just putting a basic color down. Pansies come in a lot of colors, but this guy I chose is a nice purple one, and he has a yellow center there. And you can see me adding some vein details to the petals. Nothing crazy, just something simple that I'm really focusing on the petal structure. With a lot of flowers, getting a good structure in the petals is going to get you a good final result. Number 6, I'm going to go with a poppy, and this guy is another one where the petal structure is important, but not as important as the central details. And so you'll see me here starting with some red, and I'm going to kind of work around it in sections and darken some areas up as I go. And it's going to kind of look like a blob at first, and that's unfortunately how some of these happen. And then when I come in with my pens, I can add the poppy seeds in the middle of the flower, and that's what's really going to make it show and appear to be a poppy. So for flower number 7 here, I'm going to do some Aster. This is one where the petals don't overlap as much as all of our others. So this is a fun technique that you can do that requires some brush control. You saw I put my yellow center in there, and now I'm going to come around it and make all of my petals. Now they don't have to be perfectly even or symmetrical or the same size or the same shape. All that matters is that they're exploding out from the center. And you can see me coming back in here to outline them. Once again, I'm not too concerned with getting it exactly the same shape every time. I'm just trying to get a consistent outline. These guys actually grow more on a vine than they do on a stem, and so I'm kind of indicating that here. Typically, you'd see groups of Aster together, but I didn't want to paint 4 flowers as one flower demonstration. So this is a basic idea of how to do an Aster flower, but typically you would paint more than one at a time. And for our final flower, I wanted to do another one where the flower itself is white. And so this is going to be what's called a cosmos. These guys are really neat. They are very simple. 5 petaled, 6 petaled. They have white petals and yellow center, kind of like what you would expect maybe a daisy to look like, but they're a little more interesting in my opinion just due to the structure of their growth. They grow kind of on a vine-like structure as well, and it just fit nicely down here. And once again, in order to make it seem white, I have to remove the white from the background. And so you see me adding some blue in here to start, and then we can go in and outline, and that's going to make the white of the white petals pop much more than if it were on a white background.
I like to be way more patient. Stay up, I feel so outdated. How can we look the other way? Sun is out, but the sky is gray. What would happen if I took a chance? It's always hard at first glance.
Okay, I had to relocate because it's so bright outside that you can't see anything when I try to show you these things. But here we go. Here's the finished product. I think this is really successful. None of these was that difficult. All of these took me a few minutes. I think these techniques that we've learned in this video can help you not only to just paint these 8 flowers, but to paint just about any flower you would want to. If perhaps you guys really enjoy this, I can do it again with some different flowers, maybe some more complicated ones. I think that would be fun to do. Yeah, otherwise, if you enjoyed it, if you stayed tuned to the end, go ahead, and the special comment for today is going to be Marigold. And I really appreciate the views. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, ring the bell so you're notified whenever I post anything new. Share this with your friends. I'm going to go ahead and we'll cut to a few glamour shots, and then we'll get out of here.
I wish I knew.